That's a big number. Big numbers. Big numbers. 100-minute bag. That's a big number. Big numbers. Blue hunts. Whole team counting. That's a big number.
Rick Rock.
Hello, everybody. It's the coach. This is Madden 20 on EA Sports. Straight ahead, we've got what should be a good one between
From the area known as Patriot Place, EA Sports set for football at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Today we've got an interesting Week 11 matchup on tap between the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. And he'll be brought down at the 23, make it the 24-yard line. They'll run for the first time with Sony Michel. Call it officially a loss of 2 on the first play from scrimmage. Second down. Okay, there's a tone setter. First play from scrimmage. Stuff them in the backfield.
You know what they were doing last night in the hotel room? Visualizing exactly that. That's what they were thinking about. Making that play, having leverage, lower than the offensive lineman, getting into the offensive backfield, knocking someone down. Just what you said, setting the tone early for this game.
Jeez, you are fired up.
When I see a play like that, I can't help it.
On 2nd and 12, Stafford is going to fire one deep over the middle, and that'll be incomplete. Good protection that time, and they couldn't hook up on the long one. Now it's 3rd down. 3 and out, a real danger here on their opening drive as they come up on a 3rd and 12. Out of the gun, Stafford. And unable to connect, incomplete. Now give them credit, they took their shot, but it's going to bring up 4th down. You can tell they were hoping for a flag there offensively. Several on the sideline motioning, hey, why not a penalty? Why not a penalty? What did you see?
Yeah, I think you've got to let them play, and the officials are instructed, if there's contact coming from both sides, no flag. Let them fight it out.
And forces 4th down.
We're going to shut you down.
And that's what friends are for.
Right. As the returner, you know who you're buying dinner for later.
Oh, without a doubt, because he just took care of you and your team in a big way. You know, you turn it over there, that's a big momentum changer, and put your defense in a bad spot.
Off of play action, here's Stafford. And that is incomplete. Showed off the arm strength there, but to no avail. 2nd down.
I know coaches tell us all the time that having a powerful arm isn't the #1 thing they look for in a quarterback. But when you're trying to throw inside routes and you need to put some heat on it, it helps have the big gun. In this case, just a little bit too much. And there we see an early burst that makes him one of the leading rushers in the league.
Well, I want you to know, I listened to you yesterday when we were watching film. You said write down the word vision for him. It was on display there, wasn't it?
It certainly was, because he allows the blocks to set up in front of him. And if that continues, it could be a long afternoon for those guys trying to play some defense.
Keeping it on the ground on first, Michel. And they get to him quickly here as he stopped right around the 13. Give him a couple on the carry there, 2nd and 8.
That didn't appear to be a run blitz. He just darted in once he saw the run develop. That appeared to be a case of see ball, get ball.
The last run good for 2. Here's 2nd and 8. Nyheim Hines, his first carry, down to the 6-yard line on a pickup of 6 as he gets halfway to the goal line.
A quick burst there, and he nicely bit off a pretty decent gain.
They'll try and run for it. Here's Michel. He didn't get the touchdown, but he did get the first down as he's tackled at the 1. The gain of 5 that time gives him the conversion and makes it 1st and goal. They'll try the air now with Stafford. Under pressure now, and he's going to go down. Sack back around the 8. Raekwon McMillan able to record his 5th sack of the season. A few issues here on the offensive line. Apparently, He got sacked 5 times last week. They got to him here in the first quarter.
And I would think that running the ball would be paramount here because it's a different team they're facing, but they watch the film as well. So they'll take many of those same principles and try and apply them in this game to see if they fixed what was wrong with them in the last game.
Only 3 yards there on the completion. That'll lead to a 3rd and goal.
One thing you're hoping for when you run drag routes, you're able to hit a receiver in stride, and he can pick up a lot of yardage after the catch. But in this situation, the defense was effective, able to stop him before he could get a good head of steam going. You hear the calls for a penalty, but I just don't think so. I think in this situation, the defender was making sure his guy couldn't hold on to the football. So I don't see anything that warranted the flag.
No, I'm with you. There was contact, but I'm happy they kept that flag in the back pocket. A good drive gets them inside the 5, but they could not punch it in.
And credit the defense, too. Make sure that that happens because that was the old bend but don't break approach. Made sure they contained them when they absolutely had to and forced the field goal attempt that went through.
After splitting the uprights, McManus to kick it away. That'll be taken in the end zone. And no run back here. This will be a touchback, and it comes out to the 25-yard line. Rosen and the Dolphins now with a 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line. From the shotgun, it's Rosen. That one going to be complete to David Moore. And he takes us up to the 40-yard line before being corralled. Give him 15 yards on that one, and the Dolphins have a 1st down. So quickly all the way up at the 40-yard line. Out of the gun, here's Josh Rosen. And that is incomplete. He couldn't hold on through the contact. Brings up 2nd down. And on this offensive unit, one guy that's proven himself early in the NFL is Eric Ebron.
A very reliable target for a quarterback. They always love tight ends because they're right in their sight lines. If you get it to this guy, though, he can take it the distance.
So 2nd down and 10. Once again, they'll go from the 40. A first carry now for Kareem Hunt. Just a couple on the pickup there, and now it's 3rd down. Pretty good little 2-play sequence there. You force the incompletion, then a very short pickup.
Yeah, now maybe you bring in an extra defensive back or 2 because you want to try and defend on 3rd down. They like to play those nickel or sub packages, don't they?
Now it's Rosen. And he hits his tight end, Ebron. And he's got another 1st down as the tackle's going to be made at the Patriots' 44-yard line. So into Pat's territory now. Here's 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line. Here's Rosen to throw. Ebron with it over the middle. A gain of 6 there on 1st.
Sometimes the most effective routes are the ones that you run in the backyard. You probably ran them when you were 5 years old. How about a little curl there against zone? But the key to it is finding the open spots in the zone. How a linebacker or a defensive back will widen to give you space. Find that area and let your quarterback hit you.
6 yards was the pickup on the last completion, so here's 2nd and 4. Now the pass finding its way into the hands of Eric Ebron. And they'll wind up getting this one all the way down inside the 20. Too far downfield, something those linemen have to watch out for. That time it costs them.
Break the net. 54 miles. You must be dreaming.
On 2nd down, here's Rosen. Got a man open. That's Devontae Parker complete. 4 yards on the completion, and it sets up a 3rd down. They want to go to the air again with Rosen. Taking a shot for 6. And this is caught inside the 5. And they are able to stop him, but he does take it all the way to the 2. That's a gain of nearly 40 yards on 3rd and medium to pick up the first. They'll try to run with Hunt. And the D not yielding much there. He's only going to get a yard to about the 2. Simply not much more you can ask out of your running back. Over 100 yards and the 3 touchdowns.
And for an old coot like me, I loved it because he did it on the ground. A running back taking control of the game. And that's what I like to see.
Hold on. An old coot?
Coot, C-O-O-T.
All right, I'll look that up later. 2 runs in a row, but only 2 yards to show for it. Third and goal. Rosen looking end zone, but it's incomplete. So they opted to pass for it on 3rd and goal. Let's see what they do on 4th and goal.
Well, I think they threw it with the idea that if they didn't get it, they would go for it on 4th and goal. So they've got another play in their pocket. They're going to have to call it right now. No field goal here.
So the field goal there caps what winds up to be an 11-play drive.
Well, partner, that's a lot of offense to run there to only get 3 points. I just wonder, are they going to recycle those plays because they were successful in getting 3? Or do you go to another section of the playbook trying to find ones that get you into the end zone, get you 6?
Let's go, boy. Bring it up.
Out comes the New England offense to see what they can do this time. And it's only November, but the playoffs, we know how it works. They'll be here before you know it. If it ended today, they would be the #1 seed.
And that's a great spot to be in, but I love the phrase, if it ended today. And I'll guarantee you, that's what they've discussed in their locker.
And he fires one that's intercepted. Picked off by Ronald Darby. He had a little bit of the turnover bug last week. 3 interceptions. Not an absolute disaster, but another one here. Do you start to get a little worried?
You worry about your team as a whole because you have to find a way to make those interceptions quote-unquote go away, and that means your defense. They've got to go out there on sudden change and at least hold people to field goals. And if that keeps happening, they lose confidence in the quarterback, and then no one plays well.
6 yards on that last play. Here's 2nd and 4. The son of the heavyweight champ, it's Elijah Holyfield. And he is met in his tracks behind the line of scrimmage. It'll wind up being a loss of 2. And all of a sudden here, it's 3rd down. On 3rd down, Rosen. And that is incomplete. Maybe a little over-anxious in the pocket there. He just didn't look comfortable on that throw.
No, he didn't, because it wasn't his normal fluid delivery. And I think you might have had it right. Wasn't really confident with what he saw downfield and almost felt like he wanted to pull that one back.
They got the interception, but very little movement after, and that forces him to settle for 3. And it does feel like settling when that happens, doesn't it?
It certainly does, but we got to give a lot of credit where it's due, and that's to the defense because they ran onto the field. This is what we call sudden change, right? Interception, you got to go put out the fire, and they did, holding them to a field goal.
Getting set to go again, Matthew Stafford trots back onto the field. And he comes out on the heels of an interception he threw last time they had the ball.
Yeah, and you know, the quarterbacks that I know that are the best ones, the ones that really know how to lead their team, they tell them, that's on me. That's my bad. But let's go back out there and move ahead again, guys. We can get this done.
One good thing for him, it did only lead to 3 points and not a touchdown after that turnover.
Big thanks to the defense.
Ball on the 30. They'll come up with a 2nd and 5. 6-3 is our score after 1. It's the NFL on EA Sports.
Let's go, defense. Our time. It's our time. Check. Middle.
On 2nd down, Michelle. He takes this from the 30 to the 34.
And that's one of the reasons you like to blitz even on rundowns. It confuses the blocking assignments. It doesn't allow those offensive linemen to get up to the 2nd level.
New England on 3rd down. Just 1 for 3 thus far. They're up against a 3rd and 1 situation. Stafford. And incomplete. A disappointing drop there defensively by the rookie. And now 4th down.
Well, nearly another interception there. That would have been 2 drives in a row with a pick. He's got to start taking care of the ball way better than what we're seeing.
Interestingly, that throw was probably worse than the one he threw the interception on last drive, but fell incomplete. And no return here. Where will they spot it? They say just outside the 20-yard line. The Dolphins at the line ready for their next drive. And still a lot of football to be played in this season. We're only in November. A lot can happen between now and January. But if it ended today, they would just be on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. So a lot to fight for.
Yeah, and wasn't it interesting in our meeting with the coaching staff that they all made sure to let us know, we know where we are right now, but the playoffs don't start tomorrow. We still got some time, and they plan on putting it together, formulating a streak, got the whole month of December still left to play. They think they can get in.
And they made it very obvious to us that there's no playoff talking. Through an opening, and there he goes. And all the way in for a Miami touchdown. Elijah Holyfield, his second touchdown on the season. And the Dolphins strike quickly here for 6 points. And on that long run, maybe the defense caught napping a little bit.
The concentration level may not have been there. I agree with you on that one, because those types of plays, when they result like that, they're almost like big bolts of lightning, aren't they? Whoosh, and off he goes.
Fielded about a yard deep. And he'll make it across the 20 as his guys will set up shop at the 23-yard line. Here comes Matthew Stafford now to lead his offense back out there. He's got to dig deep here, doesn't he? Team's losing. He's not playing well either.
And they always tell you, don't press. You'll make things a little bit worse. But in this particular situation, you try and heighten your play a little bit. So far, he's thrown one interception. He wants to balance that off with at least one touchdown pass in order to get his team back moving forward.
That'll be a New England first down, a gain of 12. Ball up to the 35 now as they come up on 1st and 10. On the ground, Michelle. Call it a gain of 4 on 1st, and that'll make it 2nd down.
When we see those runs to the perimeter, when we see those runs to the edge, we think about big breakers, don't we? In this case, it was a modest gain, but it does open up possibilities here on 2nd down.
They'll run with a former member of the Crimson Tide, Damian Harris. Give him 4 on the carry, and it'll make this a 3rd and about 2. New England on 3rd down. They've only converted once in 4 tries. Here it's 3rd and 2. Trying to pick it up on the ground with Harris. And he'll work it across midfield inside the 45. 14 yards is the pickup there, and a New England first down.
I think they like this drive a little bit better there, partner. Running game helping out, picking up some of the slack. Because remember the last drive, they went 3 and out.
Stafford now to throw. 5 yards on the catch there, brings up 2nd down. 2nd and 5 after the 5-yard completion on 1st down. On 2nd down, this is Harris. And he's taken down inside the 30. That goes as a gain of 11 and a Patriot first down.
Tremendous blocking by the interior of the offensive line. They didn't just gash him there. They blasted a gaping hole for him to gallop through. I think if he comes back to the huddle, he better be giving them a whole lot of credit and thanking them for that much space to rumble.
Now a play fake here on 1st down. And incomplete there, almost picked off. That's one you maybe expect your roaming free safety to come up with. But it's 2nd down. So now they'll come up on 2nd and 10, once again from the 28.
Easy.
On the ground is Michelle. And he'll be a couple yards shy of the red zone here at the 22-yard line. It'll be a pickup of 5, and that leaves him with 5 more. 3rd and 5 now. And on 3rd and 5, this will be the 8th play of the drive. Throwing is Stafford. And he's going to go down. Back at the 27-yard line, he's sacked. Great job defensively. I think he was trying to go through his progressions, find someone to get rid of the football. Before he knew it, he was on his back.
So that just brings us right back to what you said in the beginning. A great job defensively. Nowhere to go with the football. That led to the sack.
So as it turns out, that sack doesn't wind up costing them, Charles. They at least get points, get 3 of them. Yeah,
that's where your kicker can really come to your rescue, because you know after the sack there was a little consternation there. Are we out of field goal range? Are we going to be able to get 3? In this case, he stepped right up and gave them exactly what they needed.
Getting set to go again on offense, here's Devontae Parker now. Second quarter here, he has only one catch, but they have the lead. You got to think there's going to be more involved at some point.
That's what you would expect, but sometimes what defenses do to take away a player of his magnitude, it costs them in other areas. And right now, with them losing, they may have to change their focus, and maybe he will open up a little bit more as the game goes on.
Yeah, well, so far, just the single catch. Now here's a pass on first down that's knocked away and incomplete. An incomplete pass leads to 2nd and 10 from the 25. They run with Holyfield. And that'll hurt the average a bit as this time they're able to get him behind the line. It'll be a loss of a full 3 yards there, and it also brings up 3rd down. What happened there? Was that just a missed assignment on the O-line?
It certainly felt like it, but also the speed of the play. When you're talking about defensive end, they want to be ahead of the clock, don't they? They want to be upfield, making plays on every snap. How about his agility there to run that one down?
Now throwing on 3rd down there, but he cannot connect.
They had enough yards for the first down, but a clutch hit right there defensively jars it free. No first down.
That's taken on the 25. 12 yards on the return that time, and the Patriots take over. Out comes the New England offense to see what they can do this time. And last time able to get 3. It's not what they wanted. They wanted 6, but they got at least something. They mustered something out of the drive.
They'll take it. I like the way you described it. Not ideal, but they'll take it. Anything to put some points on the board. But this time on offense, they don't even want to see the field goal kicker trot on the field. They want that ball in the end zone.
They'll be going for 6. On the ground, this is Michel. Give him 3 on first down. It'll set up a 2nd and 7.
What's the old expression, 3 yards in a cloud of dust? In this case, it's dust-covered pellets. It's no longer that old grass that we used to play on, right, and chew it up. Now we've got that artificial surface. You see the pellets go up. Still a nice play by the defense.
Into heavy traffic, and it's intercepted. Picked up by Xavier Howard.
Hey, Keenan, good morning. This is Mike with Axiom. How are you? Doing awesome, man. Well, as awesome as I can be doing, obviously. You know, the times are a little odd, if you haven't noticed, but, you know, first and foremost, you know, I hope all things are healthy and safe on your end, and that this is still a good half an hour chunk of time to have a conversation. Okay, great. So I'm looking through your resume. I have it out in front of me, but hey, you know, the half an hour I thought we would spend it, I would go ahead and just introduce myself briefly, a couple lines, mostly as it pertains to my time here at Axiom. Would love for you to have the opportunity to highlight maybe a few bullets on your resume or off the resume, just kind of as it you know, helps me get to know you a little bit better. Not always fair to keep you confined to one page. Any early questions you have, you know, whether it's about the role, about the company, my personal experience, you know, for your own sake, kind of how you're thinking through things. I'm happy to answer literally any question pertaining to the role. And then I had a couple questions for you towards the end of the call, latter half, if you would. Whatever time we have left, I'm happy to kind of pivot in any direction with the conversation, but thought that would be a good plan for the half hour. What do you think? Yeah? Okay, cool. So, my introduction is I am from Chicago. It seems like you're from Chicago as well, hometown-wise? Okay. Got it, got it. Alright, so you're from the Midwest. I guess, yeah, Minnesota's technically Midwest. I don't know. Yeah, so you guys are way up there. It gets a little snowier, but, you know, you made the smart decision to go and spend 4 years in Arizona weather. I actually just went south to Big Ten U of Illinois. So, graduated there winter of December 17. Um, and then I started acting in December of 18. So it was my second job 6 months after my first role. From that role, yeah, it was a BDR, which is the role we're talking about today. Come October, I think like 9 months in, I moved into the senior representative role, which is a title and compensation bump promotion for anybody who hits hits their goal for 2 consecutive quarters. And then now I'm actually currently a manager on the team. So I went the managerial route, which isn't the most conventional in a sense that mostly, BDRs, especially with the way their skill set is developed, I think the most linear, seamless path is typically down the sales route. And that's exactly what I had in mind. I'm a seller at heart. I kind of was going to go into that route, and then I guess I had portrayed some leadership qualities on the team for, during my BDR tenure, and they actually had a fourth team lead or manager head opening, and they came to me and asked me if I'd be interested. So I said, why not throw some leadership actual experience on my resume. So that is really in a nutshell. I don't want to take up too much time on my end. A little introduction of who I am here at the BDR org at Axiom. So floor is yours, Keenan. Just a couple bullets about who you are, maybe how that ties back to your interests and ambitions, and then any questions you had for me, I'd love to answer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sorry, are you talking about the recruitment website? I'm actually not familiar with it, to be completely honest. Yeah, or like a handshake. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad you made it relevant in the sense of tying it back to kind of why we're on this phone call. So that helps kind of alleviate a lot of the early surface questions of like why Axiom and all of those things. So thanks for kind of touching on all of that. Um, Great. So I guess the floor is still yours. As you did your research with Axiom, look, it's a very nuanced model. I think you'll you would, I should say, as a BDR, you would discover a lot, and you would discover the fact that you'd have to be a sponge and a student for the whole tenure of being a BDR to really even kind of scratch the surface and learn everything about the model, but not just know and understand how it works, but be able to speak to it. And I think that's like a separate step, right? Like somebody can tell you and teach you, and everything's making sense, and you're writing it down, but until you actually move your tongue and say the words and practice the sentences, like that's a whole other obstacle or learning curve, I should say. And so given your research and all of that stuff, like any initial questions that I can help kind of answer or maybe dumb things down a little bit. I mean, that's a not to say that you need things dumbed down, but you know what I mean. Like if there's concepts or terms that I can kind of just tie to a metaphor and make clear for you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm alluding to. There's absolutely there's going to be the language that a BDR speaks, and it's going to be just in depth enough to get you to be able to schedule a meeting, which is what you're gold on. Um, but then obviously like knowing exactly what the type of work a lawyer is doing, like redlining and negotiating agreements and NDAs and all these other terms that lawyers have to know how to do. We don't have to go in depth there as much. I mean, I think the more that you can level and understand a lawyer's world, the better you can connect with them on a client level for obvious reasons. But if you have any kind of reservations or concerns about not having a law background at all in your studies, don't have any hesitation. The training's a good blend of here's how to handle a sales role, and here's the sales skills, and then it's also the other 50% is this is how you do it in speaking Axiom's language. So you'll certainly start to grasp the legal industry at a surface level, and to an extent to you can at least speak to it to our service. So we've had history majors come in. I came in with an economics major. I too also minored in communication. So um, there's no, I guess, disadvantage of coming in without a law background, but there might be maybe an advantage if you practiced law and you were a seller at Axiom who were like 5 years out of law practice and came over and tried to sell for Axiom. Those people, I think, would have the advantage, being able to kind of speak to an attorney eye to eye. But yeah, no concerns there for you. The training process covers just about all you need to know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. It's one that we're kind of sorting out now. I want to say traditionally, BDRs have been generalists, so you may have been asked to support 3 sellers, and all 3 of your sellers could have been in different verticals. So you might have one in financial services, one in tech, one in consumer services, or industrials, whatever. There's also a different level of seller. There's enterprise and there's small and medium business. So we call that the SMB function. The SMB is kind of like a stepping stone into the enterprise function in terms of career path through Axiom. Typically, you want to go through SMB first and then move into enterprise level accounts. So you'll go from your no-name tech startup with 3 people in the legal department up to tech, enterprise, and start managing the relationship between Apple and Google and Intel. And so that said, the BDR support per level is the same. So like you still need to. There's really not much more elevation and skill level for a BDR to be able to kind of navigate an enterprise account as much as an SMB account. Our value prop might shift a little bit. The way you strategically think to penetrate each account might be a little bit different, but at the end of the day, like BDRs should be able to hop between enterprise and SMB overnight and not really have to change much of their day to day. To further answer your question, we are trying to verticalize, which I realize is probably not even a word, but it should make sense. We are trying to verticalize and consolidate our BDR function so that BDRs can fully align to one vertical. That's a very complex process. Yeah, as you would imagine, a lot of moving pieces there. So we are trying to get to that, and I think we are envisioning to get to that the second half of this year, so in Q3 or Q4. So you might be starting in a world where we are just starting to scratch the surface and get to that point. So it's really hard to forecast what we'll look like by the end of this year, especially obviously with COVID and how things have just kind of been a little shuffled. But yeah. So as of right now, I would expect to be more of a generalist, but we do envision a world in the very, very, very near future where we are aligned in an industry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you could think about it as like, being a generalist makes it more well-rounded, but then there's kind of the pros and cons. The pro of verticalizing is now you can have like a deeper knowledge in like the tech industry, let's say, and you can speak to more in-depth like tech language, and kind of further connect with those clients. So there's pros and cons to each one for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I do, Keenan. And I know, like, in corporate America, in the business world, you don't want to marry your company because the company overnight might decide to let you go, and that's just corporate America in its harshest way. And, like, I think just general career advice, you want to be flexible and open-minded and keep all doors open and be willing to pivot your plan on a moment's notice. That's general advice. Now, I too agree with you, and I think I'm one of the most loyal. I'll call it loyal, but I'm one of the people who, if I'm going to learn the industry, if I'm going to learn the day to day, if I'm going to implant myself somewhere, like I want to do it long term. I want to build relationships. I don't want this to just be a two-year stepping stone necessarily. Does that mean that, like, if somebody came to me and doubled a contract offer and doubled the money and said, "Hey, come do the same job somewhere else," that I wouldn't jump? I probably would jump. I think money to some extent talks, but for the time being, like when I first started Axiom, I found that I could be here long term. Like if I had to spend the rest of my career pushing Axiom's mission, I think I'd be okay with that. Now there would have to be certain things in place, right? The team culture, exactly, growth. Like I don't want to be a BDR manager the rest of my life. I need to be able to move up that ladder, right? And so there's always going to be the 3-year, 5-year vision, but I don't want to call it a plan. Plans you tend to kind of stay stuck to, and that's probably the worst thing you can do is have a plan, which is probably not the advice you've been getting in life. But yeah, envision something vague and ambitious for yourself, and how that kind of ties back to Axiom and how Axiom might play a role or might not play a role. There's up for you to decide as you go, but. Look, I think if you're looking to go somewhere and you want to be able to stay long term, Axiom's a perfect spot, and I'll speak to that in the sense that the BDR tenure is a 15-month role, and our company organization, we really value our team culture, and one of the ways you protect culture in a business is to hire internally and to promote internally and to grow internally. So our perfect world, and this is obviously not the case, but our perfect world is that our CEO one day was a former BDR. Our leadership team, the C-suite executives, were once a BDR and just grew within the culture. So, that's certainly what we envision, and we definitely put that in practice. We career path all of our BDRs, and our expectation is that we're going to graduate you internally. And look, if one day you decide that this is not going to be your path long term, your manager, potentially me, is responsible to help you externally as well. And so we want the best for Keenan, and whatever that means long term, whether that be with Team Orange or elsewhere. Like, obviously our bias and our inclination is going to be to keep you around internally and best leverage your skill set and put you in a position where you feel like you're growing and challenging and developing yourself on a day-to-day basis. And that, I think that if you are looking for somewhere to go long term, that this is the perfect spot for that. Mm-hmm. No, it's a great way to be thinking about it, and I think it's a good question to be asking throughout the recruitment process for any opportunity. Really, is kind of, can you forecast yourself long term, right? And I think we're certainly in a position where we can put BDRs in that kind of position for their career path for sure. Yeah. So the best thing to do is kind of talk through this in a very concrete example. Excuse me. Um, so if you started BDR day one, January 1st, right? Calendar simple. That first quarter is going to be a ramping quarter. And what I mean by ramping is that you'll onboard in January, you'll be training in January. Your first goal will be in February, and it's going to be like a 30% goal basically of what's fully a full goal. It's just to kind of get your feet wet, see how you fare against a training goal. It's to not overwhelm you against a full-time goal. And then the month after that is another kind of reduced in-between rate. It's a little bit higher than the month before, but still lower than a fully ramped goal. So pretty sure you're kind of grasping the concept of ramping. So you would be fully ramped by April. So Q2, you'd have a fully ramped quarter 2 goal. So to get to your senior analyst role, you would have to hit your 2 fully ramped quarters. So Q2 and Q3, you'd have to hit those two 100% goals. You'd have to hit 100% of your goal for those 2 quarters consecutively, and then Q4 you'd be a senior analyst. Does that make sense? Right. Yeah. We definitely want to make sure we're fine tuning kind of the mindsets and the skill sets before we're just throwing you into a full time goal. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So our team, the BDR org itself, we're all pretty much out of college. It's all going to be within a year or two of your age, so that's kind of nice. I know a lot of my friends ended up in offices where it's like they're the youngest one, and like the next youngest is like 34 years old, and like yeah, that is like the opposite of what you'll see at Axiom. Is your BDR org is going to be a team of college grads, so everyone knows what a meme is. Everyone's a millennial. So our team culture is not competitive. Believe it or not, we're a sales culture. We're a sales team, but like, and everyone has their individual goal, and we're all put on like a dashboard where we can see how we're faring against, not against, but in comparison to the rest of your team members. Just in terms of goal attainment, but it's a super supportive culture. It's not competitive. In fact, people will flag and be like, no, we don't want to do this because this is competitive and like this is like added stress and like nobody needs this. Um, it's a super supportive culture, although you're not really going to be working in like groups or like in a team necessarily. Like kind of like a group project of a group of four in school, like you all turn in one project. That will probably never be the case. You're always going to be turning in your own work, if that makes sense. You're always going to be kind of responsible for your own work. But you're doing that work with your team. So like it's like doing your homework assignment next to your buddy who's doing a homework assignment, right? So you guys are all doing work together, but not doing the same work, if that makes sense. Yeah. We want you to be competitive in nature against your own goal. Competitive to want to succeed for your own measures. And so competition is a good thing, but we don't want it amongst peers necessarily. It doesn't make sense because somebody could be supporting a tech seller, somebody could be supporting an SMB seller, and like things are just a different situation. So it really doesn't even make sense to try to compare situations. And I think BDRs are pretty woke and aware of that. So um, you definitely want to be competitive and want to hit your goal. You don't want to really be the type of person who's like, yeah, 84%, I'm good, right? So I see that you're I see that you're a 3.98 GPA. I know that you're competitive for grades, and so that's really the same kind of mentality we want. Is just be competitive for your own goal. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so after this would be a case study. After that would then be kind of a live interview process. But since we're not in person, we would do that like over Zoom video. Um, and you'd have like a lineup of like five of us, mainly BDR managers. You'd meet them. It's really a good chance for us to kind of meet you and just dig deeper on the type of person you are. We do hire a type of person, so um, that's the rest of the process really. So I guess you can consider this about 50% of the way through. Um, yeah, so that's next steps. Cool. Yeah, I do. I have a couple questions. So my first question to you is, as you think about being in a sales role, um, you know, you might have core values as a person, like your three main core values or your number one core value. Um, I'm wondering to be successful in a sales oriented role, what would your three core values be? Awesome. You seem ambitious. You sound confident. You can tell when you just like you're talking to someone who you know is like talkative, right? That this isn't like a super unnatural, uncomfortable thing for you to do is have a conversation. So, talk to me about a time, or not even about a time. I hate specific examples because it kind of limits you. But talk about coachability. How do you normally handle kind of a more uncomfortable or negative feedback where it's negative feedback, right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Um, Only other question for you is, and I'm sorry, do you have a hard stop at 11:30 my time? Okay, cool. Um, and the last question here, and I kind of want to give some background. When you think about sales, I think the people who fail are the ones who ultimately quit on themselves, and they don't necessarily have to sign their resignation to quit. I think you can quit a lot earlier, and it can become apparent, and then you'll start to suffer in production, and then you're either laid off at that point or you decide to sign your resignation. But I think the quitting really happens months and months before you actually get to that point. And the folks who are successful aren't necessarily just better skill wise. They're the folks who are able to bring 100 units of consistent energy on a day-to-day basis over a long period of time. Because in sales, you hear about the highs and the lows, the roller coasters, and all the volatility and all of the cliches. It really is, though. And it's not exactly cyclical, right? You can go from low to lower, right? It's not like you go from low to high and high to low. You can go from high to higher, right? So, um, it's it's like you'll spend a week, you bring the 100 units of energy, you might get 45 units of results back. That's discouraging. You might bring in 100 units of energy and you might get 125 units back, right? And that's why we're in sales. We love getting the higher performance and the overcompensation and the no ceiling comp. And those are encouraging, right? That's what keeps people motivated, right? The more that you can untie your emotions to the results aspect of it, the more you can say, I'm not going to get happy about the 120, I'm not going to get sad about the 45. And the more you can just focus on the 100, the more successful you'll be. Because what you'll find out over the course of a year and a longer period of time, law of large numbers, statistics, all of that, is that the person who brought 100 units of energy every day probably smoothed out a regression curve of an average of 100 units of results back, right? It's kind of what it levels out to be. It's you really do get out what you put in, but it's just kind of over a longer period of time. So it wouldn't be fair for me to just be like, hey, Keenan, come in and be 100 units of effort every day, right? That can be my expectation, but that's not fair to just expect that, right? There needs to be some kind of underlying motive that makes you work hard. And I think you kind of touched on it when you talked about your interest in Axiom, but I'm kind of curious in general, Keenan, what makes you work hard? Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to make sure that, you know, we're putting you in a position where you don't have to kind of search for that 100 units of effort every day, and that kind of just comes more naturally, right? For me, it comes because I became passionate about our mission here at Axiom, and I also became passionate about the people that I'm working with. Scheduling a meeting for my seller means that I'm putting my seller in front of an opportunity to generate revenue and get a higher paycheck for them. So it felt great, you know, like I'm a selfless person in nature, and so I would motivate or encourage you to figure out what motivates you, what you're passionate about, and try to figure out where that lies within Axiom. Um, and then that's going to allow you to bring that 100 units of consistent energy day in and day out, and that's going to all be regardless of the results on the other end. And the more that you can kind of train your mind to not worry about what's on the right side of the equal equation and just focus on the left side, you know, that's what ultimately determines who's successful in sales. I truly believe that. So with that, I love the answer, man. I will go ahead and wrap up this call 5 minutes late, unless you had any other kind of follow-up comments or questions. All right, Keenan, it was a pleasure getting to meet you all you know, albeit briefly and over the phone, but our recruitment process is a little lagged, if you will, maybe like 0.8 times the real time. Just, you know, given COVID, things are a little shuffled, but, you know, we're a model that's resilient through recession, so I'm not worried about, no one's worried about the business. We're actually probably going to thrive a little bit once our clients are finding budget to spend money on us, but you know, we are still trying to kind of take measures internally, and so our process is a little bit slower. So there might be a lull of silence that feels a little uncomfortable in terms of duration. So between now and that next time you hear from us, if you start to kind of get a little paranoid, shoot me a text. This is my cell phone number. Give me a call. Just be like, hey, Mike, just checking in, right? Or any questions that come up along the way, any concerns that you have, feel free to stay in communication with me, all right? All right, Keenan, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon, all right? Yep, bye-bye.
Brandon. This is a veteran quarterback back there. He should know better than to make a throw like this. This is definitely not his best ball, and I think he knew this was trouble the second it was leaving his hand.
A carry here for Holyfield. Credit him with a 1-yard gain there to make it 2nd and 9. 2 minutes remaining in this first half of football. And we'll remind you that coming up at halftime, we'll join Jonathan Coachman and the gang in Orlando. Coach will have stats and scores from the early games going on here around the NFL. And the throw here caught by Devontae Parker. And past the 35, he'll be dropped a yard or two shy of the 30. It'll be a pickup of 16 and a Dolphin first down. Right after the turnover, they come out throwing.
And that means it's a sudden change situation. We used to practice it on defense. Sudden change, get out there, stop the offense. But you typically run out there a little bit unsettled. I think that's why he came right out throwing the football, hoping to catch him off balance.
And he did. Give him 12 yards there, and the Dolphins have a first down. Back-to-back good plays have them on the move on first down. Rosen will throw. Gets this one to Juszczyk. And he'll get it down this time to the 17. It'll be a 3-yard gain, and that'll make it a 2nd down. Now the Dolphins going to burn the first of their timeouts as they'll stop it with exactly a minute to go before halftime. Throwing again on 2nd down. Rosen firing quickly here, and that's complete. The Dolphins going to take their 2nd timeout as the stoppage will come with a little under a minute to go in this first half. Throwing again, it's Rosen. And that is caught. Touchdown, Miami. Deebo Samuel, his 3rd touchdown now on the year. And the Dolphins are able to extend that advantage. And that'll give them a 2-score lead here, but I'm looking ahead. They just want to hold it for the final moments here in the 2nd quarter. They don't want to give up anything on the other side.
No, not at all, because if they don't, it almost had the feel of an imposing their will score. And right now, they want to make sure they keep that and carry it into the 2nd half.
This will be fielded at the 6. And he'll take this one near the 25, call it the 26-yard line.
Let's go.
Offense marching back onto the field, and our focus shifts here to Sony Michel. And I'm wondering if maybe they don't go away from him on this drive a little bit. He's been great, but they haven't scored a lot of points.
I think they still have to show him as a threat. Make sure he touches it a few times, but as you pointed out, use him as a decoy a little bit and get the ball in the hands of some other people in order to put more points on the board. But he's done a really nice job of establishing them with his running.
Yeah, he's established himself well. Now can they put more points up? That first down completion only netted him 3. 2nd and 7.
Go, go.
Stafford going deep here for Watkins. And that's going to be incomplete. Good effort there, trying to take a shot, but it's 3rd down.
Well, partner, they're not content to run this one out as we head towards the half, trying to hit a big chunk play right there and add to their score.
Yeah, this is a confident group. At the very least, they're thinking field goal.
Yeah, and I don't blame them one bit. I don't think you sit on the ball going into the half when you have a chance to put some more points on the board.
Now the Patriots will use the 2nd of their timeouts as they'll stop it with a little over 30 seconds to go in the first half of play. So the big play gets him across midfield now for 1st and 10. Back to throw, Stafford. He's going to rifle one deep left side. And that is incomplete. Took a shot there on 1st down, but he couldn't reel it in. Ball on the 42 as they come up 2nd and 10.
No, check that. We're going to Mike 52 right here. 52. Defense wins championships, baby.
To throw again, Stafford. And that is incomplete. A lot of force bearing down on him there. He could not hang on. It's 3rd down. So back-to-back incompletions, and that has him staring at a 3rd and 10. Throwing again to Stafford. And finding the tight end Hooper. The Patriots will take their 3rd and final timeout as they stop it with 16 seconds to go in half number 1. Stafford now just 5 of 16 throwing the ball, but he's got a 1st and 10. Now a play fake, and it's Stafford. He'll take a shot for the end zone. Back of the end zone. Could he get his feet down? No, it's incomplete. After the incomplete pass, here now is 2nd and 10.
Where's 52? Hey, Haywood! 52.
Play action. Stafford. He's going to take a shot at the end zone. Why not? And that will be incomplete. 4 ticks left here on the clock. So with 4 seconds to go in the half, here's the field goal unit onto the field. On the left hash, this from 48 yards. The kick by McManus is good. And that will do it for this first half. So we have reached halftime here in an 11-point contest. That's an abbreviated halftime show as we get rolling to quarter 3. The Dolphins in front, and they'll be in possession of the football first as the second half gets started. That'll be taken in the end zone. And no run back here. This will be a touchback, and it comes out to the 25-yard line. So now the Dolphins set to take over on offense. Last week they defeated the Broncos, and they've got the lead here as well as they work with a 1st and 10. Rosen and the Dolphins now with a 1st and 10 at their 25-yard line. Now it's the fullback. This is Kyle Juszczyk. And he is swallowed up right at the line of scrimmage. Call it no gain on the play, and it'll be 2nd down. Well, they had the run for no gain. Now they'll try again from the 25 on 2nd and 10. Now Holyfield. And he is going to be stopped cold behind the line of scrimmage. He lost 2 there, and it's 3rd down.
And plays like that are exactly what this defense needs here early in the second half to give it a little spark. I think their halftime adjustments, what they talked about, maybe it was just a little inspirational speech. Who knows? It looks like they're ready to go.
And now it's Rosen looking. Got his target, Samuel. 18 big yards on that one, and a Miami first.
Here we go.
Rosen now 11 of 16 through the air. It's 1st and 10. Now Rosen. Ebron caught left side. And he takes this one down almost all the way to the 30. A good pickup there, 26 yards.
The goal for any offense versus his own defense, find the holes where guys are available and put the ball on the receiver before any defender can step up and fill it.
They did it well there. Perfectly executed crossing route. On 1st down, they'll run it on the draw play. Absolutely nobody fooled there. He's going nowhere fast as he's stopped behind the line of scrimmage.
And the big fella stuffed that one up in a big way. I think doubling him has to be a priority because you can't move up to the next level if you don't take care of him first.
They'll get 4 on 2nd down, but it leaves them with 3rd and still 9 to go.
They're trying to show that they can run the ball and protect this lead. Give it to the backs, play a little bit of keep away, don't you think?
And that's probably a good philosophy at this point, going to make that defense stand up and stop him. And he's got the hook up to Moore. And inside the 20 before he's brought down. And he's got another 1st down as the tackle's going to be made at the Patriots' 19. They'll run it now with Juszczyk. And he tries to power forward, but he will not get back to the line of scrimmage. And that sends him 2 yards in the wrong direction and leads to 2nd down. A rare misstep on that last play because the drive has been strong, but now it's 2nd and 12. Now Rosen looking to throw. Quick hitter here, it's complete. And he'll go down here at the 12-yard line. That was the 9th play of the drive, and they pick up 9 yards with it.
Brandon, they didn't get everything they wanted out of that play, but the tight end did. And I don't mean it in a positive way. Great job of him holding on after absorbing that big hit.
And he will have the 1st down inside the 10 to the 9-yard line. And they got 3 yards. That's enough. A conversion, and now it's 1st and goal.
On 3rd down, that's a good job of situational football and understanding where the 1st down marker was and getting there.
From the gun, it's Rosen. He's got it. Touchdown, Dolphins. Eric Ebron with touchdown number 7 on the year. And the Dolphins are able to extend that advantage. Always important to get the first score of the second half. Now you start to pull away a little bit and get some breathing room going.
And now we find out about the fortitude of the group that's behind, because they were counting on getting into the game a little bit more, right? Maybe they get the first score. That doesn't happen. It looks almost insurmountable, but it's not. Let's see how hard they play the rest of the game.
This is fielded a couple yards deep. And he'll wind up getting an extra couple yards here for his trouble as he'll bring this one out to the 27. Here comes the Patriots offensive unit. They'll have it first here to begin the 3rd quarter. And their halftime hole now even deeper, and they need a big drive here just to answer the first touchdown of the second half scored against them.
They were down at the half. Now, as you mentioned, they're down a little bit bigger, but no time for discouragement. Just got to get back to it, right? Put your shoulder against the boulder and start pushing and try and get back to where you were to start the half.
And that'll be incomplete. We do have a penalty flag down, however. Let's see what that's about. So this will be accepted as it moves the offense backwards. So after the second down incompletion, they'll come up now against a 3rd and 6. From the gun, here's Stafford. He's got his man, Valdez-Scantling. And they bring him to the ground just shy of midfield. 18 big yards on that one, and a New England first down. On first down, it's Stafford. It's caught over the middle, Hooper. And they'll wind up getting this one all the way down inside the 20. So the big play means just like that, they'll operate from the red zone now on first down. A shotgun snap for Stafford. And he'll take it into the end zone for a Patriot touchdown. Mike Gesicki, his first touchdown on the year. And the Patriots get a score closer.
And that touchdown ends a streak, for lack of a better word, of 3 field goals that they put on the board previously. They finally cracked the code.
Yeah, they've been down there. They've been in enemy territory, as you said. They just hadn't been able to punch it in until that point. A drive there of just 4 plays. And it's finished off by a Pats touchdown. That's fielded in the end zone. And he won't return this one. He'll go down to a knee, and they'll start at the 25. Josh Rosen and company getting set for their next possession. He's played well. Good first half. He's continued that here in the 3rd quarter. But my question, when you're a head coach, what do you look at stat line-wise for your program? Do you go right to turnovers?
You really do. As much as coaches don't want to talk about that, that's where it starts. When I played in college, our first rule for every game, the team making the fewest mistakes will win. And that's kind of how they judge you. Do you take care of the ball, not turn it over, keep it in the proper hands, and give your team a chance to win?
Well, that's what he's done here in this one so far. They go play action. It's Rosen. To the right side to Eric Ebron. And he'll be stopped right at midfield. 60 catches for him now on the year. This last one, a first down.
So much goes into a successful play, doesn't it? How about that play action there, freezing the defense just enough to bring the tight end free downfield for the completion.
Here's Rosen. That's going to be caught by Samuel. The completion good for 3, and it's second down.
Well, if you do read man coverage, Brandon, the drag route's a pretty good one to run against it because you're running away from people on it.
Then he'll give it here to his running back. Trying to find a lane, but instead he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, and no more. No gain on the play, and it's going to bring up a 3rd down.
Hey, check back 21, check back 21.
On 3rd down, Rosen. And he's going to go down. They sack him back at the 42. Shaq Thompson making his presence felt on the sack. He was trying to keep his eyes downfield. Nobody came open.
He's trying to do everything that he had been taught, right? Every bit of the technique. But if no one's open, there is no technique except make sure you hold on to the ball as you go to the ground when you're getting sacked.
We got this.
Out comes the New England offense to see what they can do this time. I guess they have to feel a little gratified to at least get on the board last time, but still work to do.
No doubt about it. I wonder now if they're going to try to increase the urgency a little bit, maybe pump up the pace, maybe go 2-minute. Who knows? Let's see what they decide to do.
A pretty good looking run there on first down. That'll go for 9 yards, just short of the line to gain. Give him 9 on the carry that time, and they're set up with a 2nd and 1. And he'll get it up near the 35, right at the 34 here. A gain of 5, good enough for the first down. And that is going to do it for this third quarter of action. We'll return with more after this. This is the NFL, and it's on EA Sports. From the 34 now, here's 1st and 10. Out of the gun, Stafford. And that's going to be incomplete. Too tough to hold on to that one. It's 2nd down. From the 34, they'll come to the line on 2nd and 10. Now it's Hines. And he is met quickly in the backfield. Down he goes, folded like a lawn chair.
Well, that's pretty symptomatic about how things have gone here. That play was just shut down right from the start.
And not going to give him a lot of confidence to help turn things around.
Watch the slant. 21.
Throwing on 3rd down, Stafford. And that will be incomplete. You and I watched film yesterday, and you told me to watch his feet. Well, for whatever reason, his footwork just looked off on that throw.
And you always love it when an ex-defensive back talks quarterback mechanics, right?
Well, but you're good at it.
Well, I try, all right? I don't know how good I am, but it doesn't take much to tell. His mechanics are off a little bit, exactly what you described. Footwork, that led to the incompletion.
Rosen and the Dolphins now with a 1st and 10 at their own 15. Out of the gun, here's Josh Rosen. And he finds Parker here, complete. And he'll be about a full yard shy of the 20 at the 19-yard line. The completion good for 3, and it's 2nd down. That first down completion only netted him 3. 2nd and 7. And this one will go to the 28-yard line. 9 yards to pick up there, and it's a 1st down. This is where, 4th quarter, you got the lead, you give it to the big guy. Defensively kind of sucks the will out of them, doesn't it? Because they don't want to tackle him right now this late in the game.
Well, you say that with accusatory tones. I mean, but you're exactly right. I know it's not something we actually want to talk about, but as a defender, 4 quarters worth of trying to bring people down, 4 quarters worth of pounding, and now late in the game, here comes that big guy coming at you, and a lot of guys are wondering whether they want to come up and make that tackle at this stage of the game.
Hey, check Mike 21, Mike 21, check Mike 21.
They run a draw here on 2nd down. Only a couple there as he'll be brought down about the 28.
Bottom line, they want to keep this clock rolling, so they'll take that one right there. They just want to keep falling forward, and they want to put the onus on the big fellas up front in order to bring this one home.
Completes it to Samuel. That one good for 13 and a Dolphin 1st down. He's been the go-to guy. They needed a big play there on 3rd down. Went his way. It worked out.
Doesn't matter whether they've scouted it or that they think he's going to get the ball. He has a knack for finding his way open and completing the connection.
A couple of 1st downs have him to the 40 now on 1st and 10. Now a handoff here to his running back.
Good, good. Cool. Let's dive right into Sales Loft here. I actually don't even know if we'll take a full 30 for you. Get you going on a lunch break if you want or something like that. Alright, so let me share my screen first, and then, you know, happy to kind of switch to your screen and have you kind of click through a few things. So let me just give you a rundown. Alright, so you can see my sales log loading, right? Cool. Alright, so this is what your homepage is eventually going to look like. These are your to-dos. So I have a West Tech cadence. It used to be West Tech, now it's just North American Tech. I'm in the tech space, right? So this is what my day might look like. So I might come in and say, alright, so what do I have to do today? So I have 5 people on day 1, step 1. There we go. I'm going to go click run. It's going to populate the 5 people in this cadence. Nope. So, slow down. Why is my Wi-Fi so fucking slow right now? Come on. You hope that your days move a little faster than this? Okay. So this is what it would look like, right? So I have Elizabeth Brown, who I'm going to email. Faster connection would be nice, Margaret. Okay. So Elizabeth Brown is day 1, step 1, right? So what I would do is, you know, this is a blank email template. I can minimize and I can say, alright, let's see what Elizabeth is. So this is the only activity history we have on Elizabeth. Brooke, called her June on 19. Nothing happened, no pickup. So you'll see that stat here, one call log. It'll identify who you're talking about. You want to make sure it's the same company. I was trying to reach out to Elizabeth Brown for, not Groupon. Oh yeah, Groupon. I was supporting Courtney. Okay, so 8 months at Groupon, right? I can go and view her LinkedIn. And then here I can go into insert, template, save myself some time. This is my go-to. I don't just send it, but it populates nicely. Boom. Alright, clean it up a little bit. Do that. And then I'll just fill in the template, right? Reaching out to connect you with whoever the sale partner is, who has Jackson's relationship with Groupon, right? I'm just going to do it for Elizabeth, yeah. There's a world where you can insert a template that's already without edits and you can click send all. I say don't go through that risk. I think there's enough personalization for every email that you should do one by one. Most people will tell you they go one by one. If I'm working after hours, let's say for some reason I open my laptop 9 p.m. on a Tuesday and I wanted to get a couple emails out, I certainly can. I could just schedule it to get sent right here. See that? So here I can send right now and edit the next one. Or I can go and schedule this to be sent out, you know, if it's 9 p.m. right now, I can schedule it to be sent out, you know, Thursday, right? Whatever time zone, right? Schedule, boom. And then that would, next step. You know, you just hit schedule and it'll do it. It'll like send as if you click send. If you click this, it's almost like you're clicking send. What will happen is she'll move on to the next step, basically. And it'll show 1 of 5 completed, you go to your next one, right? That's just day 1, step 1. So I would be, my whole day today, I would probably try to get through all of this. Okay, so then I got 2 people to call who are on day 3 of my cadence, right? Those 2 people that I call will then be in the process in the pipeline to come up to day 5 next. And then that's when I shoot my first follow-up email. I currently have 11 people at that stage in cadence, right? So I've got X amount of people to reach out to. I think it's like 40 something. Correct. They'll just sit in day 5 for as long as I want them to. Okay? So that's a good point. It's also going to tell you when someone's viewing your email. As you see, this is live. So I sent this email out. This is where all my views are coming from. I sent out like a mass email, so I'm getting a ton of views. Responses will pop up here and here. This is the activity. It's just right here, live feed. You can see it here. Responses will show up in green. Let's see if I have a see that? Brand Voigt. responded. It's green, respond, right? I can click into it. You handle that in your Outlook. It'll be in your Outlook. Alright, so let's do a rundown of these icons on the left. So this is my homepage. Self-explanatory. Cadence, I showed you yesterday. Do you feel pretty good about Cadence? If I click into Cadence, I have mine. Yeah. We'll build you kind of a standard one. Or you can just use a team one, right? So if you have Aisha and Will, so Will, you can use SMB right here. Or you can use this one, seems like it's more popular, right? So if you throw your folks into this cadence, it's going to be a call first, then an email, then day 2 call, day 3 call, day 4 call, day 5 call. So this is a call heavy one. Day 8 would be a follow-up email. 9 call, 12 call and voicemail, 15 breakup email, call. Actually, 14 is the final email, it's the 5th email. Okay, so there's a 15-step cadence. That's pretty neat. So that's cadence. You're just gonna import folks into these things as you deem fit. For someone like Aisha, maybe use West CNI. It's an enterprise one. It's probably pretty standard. It's a little spaced out. All right, accounts. This thing. And industrial services. But now it's just industrials. And then there's consumer services. There's 2 separate verticals. So what's kind of neat is that as you kind of go through these things, you can collect a little bit of data. So you can see my West Tech one I use a lot. I'll see that I have a 14% response rate, a 50% open rate on my first email, which is actually a pretty strong response rate. But that's just because I'm emailing some warmer folks these days. And then my follow-up email, also 14%, pretty same open rate. Everything's pretty consistent here. And then my last email, it kind of falls off. Like if you haven't responded to my first 2, you're likely not going to respond to my last one. So you see a little drop off there, but for some reason I get a higher open rate. Maybe it's just not a lot of. Looks like Linus is going to respond to me. Correct. That would be the way you build your cadence, correct. You'll disposition your calls. So here, that's actually a good question I can show you right now. So look, if I want to go call this person, Suzanne Garrity, whatever, while I'm on the call, it says lock now, right here. See where it says click call? Yeah, this is all your activity right here. So Suzanne's a good example because I've talked to her before. She's responded to my email 3 times. I've called her 4 times. Actually, I've never spoken to her. But here, I would click call right here. And then this would pop up. And then while I'm talking to her, she's like telling me no needs, call back March, or not March, what am I saying? Call back in June, right? And then I'll disposition here. I'll say we connected, right? And then the sentiment here is what came of it. So is she interested in a later date? Seems like it, right? Or she's not interested. Or we left the voicemail. Once you connect to the person, they'll be automatically removed from your cadence, I believe. And then meeting scheduled, this is important. So if you get a meeting scheduled, you click that, and then you click success. Other stuff, you click log and complete. Okay, and all that'll do is log it here. Completed. Or, sorry. I never called it, but it'll say like call complete, and it'll put your notes in here. Right. Cool. Let's just go through the accounts, the icons over here. No, you're good. That's a good question. Here you see accounts. Never click into it, you won't need to. All your account stuff is in Salesforce. People, very rarely you're gonna try to move masses of contacts from one place to another. But if you really wanted to, you could, in the sense that you can sort people out. So I want, pretty self-explanatory, right? Pretty straightforward. You can just sort a whole list of folks that you have in your sales loft. Right, I have 25 pages of them. And then what you can do is then you can add them to a cadence. Right, none of these things are really normally I do this. It's pretty manual. You search the person. There he is. You'll go to cadence. You'll add to your cadence. Whichever cadence you want. Your cadences, your team cadences. You can add to a specific step. Okay. Add to cadence. Cool. Accounts and people you'll never really need to use. Email, again, never really need to use. I don't even know what I'm about to see here when I click into it. Yeah, okay. Just emails that you sent, I guess. I don't know. It's stupid. You don't need any of that. Calls. Again, you'll never need to click into this. Templates. This is kind of cool. This is where you create your templates. So you over here, go create, add template, right? You can see your template statistics, right? This is where you can go and find a library of your team templates. Okay. You're free to just type it from scratch. You know what I mean? But I think templates save some time once you find a good format that you think you like, and you just want to reword a few things. Like, usually, like I said, yes, absolutely. You want to do all your activity through SalesLoft because that's what tracks. Yeah, like if you're in a thread, just go through Outlook. You don't have to track email activity in a thread conversation necessarily. And normally it'll be like you sent through SalesLoft, they responded, and then maybe your second response is either like a meeting invite because you got the meeting, or it's like, okay, thank you for following up, like I'll circle back next month, right? Like that, you don't track necessarily. You won't use in SalesLoft. That'll just be through Outlook. Snippets, there's like a mini template if you just have sentences that you like to import, like, do you have availability this date? Or want to connect you with this seller, right? You can just insert snippets. Nobody really uses snippets. I never did. I know Emily Unger is a big snippet fan, and so is Georgia K, an SMB seller. This is the only one I've made. I thought I was going to use it. I made it March 5th because I was just being talked to about it. But here are the team snippets, which I don't even know if they populated. But anyway, that's the idea of snippets, right? Yeah, just one team snippet. So no one uses these. Feel free to maybe talk to Emily about what works best. Live website tracking, never going to need to click. Analytics, by all means, if you're into data, go into it, right? Here you can see, you can change the rate of day, so you can look at today. You can look at what our team is doing, so North America BDR. So, yep, North America. So that's going to be, yeah, the whole BDR team. We've only logged 66 calls and 91 emails today, which is not good. But yeah, and then you can kind of aggregate by team. So you could look, right? You can look at what Aileen's doing today. Aileen has sent no emails. Good stuff, Aileen. And she has made 4 calls. So pretty shitty productivity. But look, I mean, she's probably focused on like, I'm not knocking her. I'm just saying, like, this is like the conclusions you can drive is like who's doing what, right? So like you can sort to like who sent the most emails today. Me. Well, I scheduled them, so I haven't really done anything, but like I scheduled them for last night. I was online last night scheduling emails to be sent out. Miranda said 23, right? Alright, so who's made the most calls? Well, I guess probably Duncan or Ashley. Duncan 21, Stephanie 15, Emily 10, right? So you can kind of see what's going on here. That's analytics, right? Nothing for you to really do there other than you can kind of track your own. For yourself, though, you can look at yourself, right? And I think that's a good thing. I always check this. I can check my day, right? How am I doing by myself? Did I make my 25 calls? Did I make my 50 calls? Did I send my 15 emails? Whatever the metric I was like aiming for. Your manager might tell you, I might tell you, if you're struggling, a manager might tell their BDR, I should say, you know, hey, let's jack up to 45 calls a day, right? Let's just spray and pray and see what happens, right? Or let's get the email activity up. Your follow-ups are kind of inflating your email activity. Let's get more first emails out. So let's get, instead of 20 emails today, let's get to 25. Let's do 5 first emails a day increase, right? So that's analytics, right? So quick breakdown. The only things you'll need is your homepage if you want to click through your day. Cadence, for obvious reasons, you organize your cadences. And that's really it, other than if you want to visit analytics. So there's really not a whole lot for you to do here, or for you to really know as of right now. I think more importantly, let's go ahead and just kind of click through how to import somebody from Salesforce into SalesLoft. And then in Salesforce, correct. Are you talking about to see like where you stand with like meeting points and all that? No, you won't. Yeah, so that'll be like you'll do that in live time. So if you have a meeting scheduled for today and it gets rescheduled, you'll go into Salesforce and you'll disposition it on the spot, or at least that's the best way to do it. Correct. Yeah, meeting scheduled and dispositions and all of that stuff will live in Salesforce. Any like outreach activity is going to live in SalesLoft. SalesLoft speaks to Salesforce though, so your activity from SalesLoft should track over to Salesforce as like an event or a task. Excuse me, a green task, right? So like Lamus, right? I can see it in SalesLoft. We'll show that I just emailed her. This is her as a CRM. This is her as a lead. Boom. There's my email. Right? I can click and I can see the exact email I sent. Right? Which is not length 101, but it's an exceptional time. So this is kind of our history, right? And what you would do is, if they're already in SalesLoft, you can click View in SalesLoft, and it'll bring up their page, and then you can import them into Cadence. Or if you just created the account, or the contact, excuse me, if you just created the contact, you just click Import to SalesLoft. And what this will look like. Gotta love how slow internet is these days. Yeah. So, fetching the contact, it'll be in shaded, means they already exist. Re-importing them will update their profiles with any new information. So if I update their Salesforce information, so if I change their phone number, if I update the email address, if I update their title, I would re-import, right? So I can just import them in SalesLoft and be done with it. Or this is nice, you can just seamlessly throw them into a Cadence if you know that you want to put them in a Cadence. And you can add them to a Cadence, right? Questions? How do you feel about SalesLoft? Yeah. So, look, yeah, and that's the thing. Is like from the very beginning stage, from the infant stages of a contact, like you'll find that in LinkedIn, right? Your step one's always going to be LinkedIn. You're going to prospect the account. Luckily for you, that whole step is kind of skipped because Emily's going to be passing down all of her already prospected accounts. What you might do is cycle through LinkedIn and see like who's joined the company since Emily last scrubbed through to kind of see, because there's turnover, right? People are joining and leaving companies. So you want to get the most up-to-date people. You don't want to reach out to someone who's no longer at the company. You also want to make sure that a key stakeholder didn't just join and they're slipping through the cracks and they're not on your radar. So you might just kind of comb through the already prospected sheets. And that'll be in your Excel prospecting sheet from your organization metric session with Hannah. All right. So from LinkedIn or that, yeah, it's like the same thing. So you'll take from Emily's, you might just double down on their contact information, make sure it's correct. You probably don't want to waste your time doing that. You'll just go to Zoom Info, right? You'll check if they're in Salesforce. If they are, then they're in Salesforce. If they're not, then you'll export from Zoom Info. And then from Salesforce, you do your research on that contact. Do they have history on them, right? Just like how you do. No, you don't have to start with Zoom Info. Zoom Info is just for contact information. Just to make sure that from LinkedIn you can put them into Salesforce with contact info. That's all. Otherwise, in a perfect world, you're just on LinkedIn, you're looking through the department, and you're like, oh, this person, I want to reach out to them. And you can just search in Salesforce. Are they in Salesforce? Yes or no. If no, then you want to create them as a contact. To create them as a contact, you need their contact info. You go to Zoom Info. If they are in Salesforce, they're already in Salesforce, right? The only thing the Zoom Info can do is verify the contact information that currently lives in Salesforce. And so from Salesforce, you go to your contact, you figure out what the history is, right? You do your buyer persona research. The only sign of life from Lamis Hossein is that she responded to an email in July saying, I'm definitely interested in connecting with Axiom. I'll reach back in a few weeks. Thanks. Right? So that sucks. She's interested, but she wants to do the reaching out, right? So how did Brooke handle that? Who knows? Correct, yeah. So you'll want to create contacts tied to accounts for the most part, but we'll probably have some leads in SMB. Yes. Cool. Pitch. Yeah. I see that. I'm gonna get back to you with email cert today. So hopefully, if you pass, then you're good to outreach as soon as you're passed. But obviously, like you'll have to prospect, align with your sellers, figure out who you're gonna outreach first, and then start actually outreaching. So as early as today, later today, or as early as tomorrow, or whenever you sync with your sellers, you're syncing with your sellers tomorrow. Yeah. So after that sync, then you'll probably do some like fishing around and prospecting and organizing your cadence and organizing a lot of your stuff. Again, my piece of advice was don't do it all like in a very stringent order. Don't figure out all your prospecting organization first and then outreach. Like do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that. Like get outreach going as soon as possible. Sending out an email now is April 16th as opposed to April 17th, right? So that would be my piece of advice. How do you feel about kind of navigating these tools? Yeah. Just Slack, man. I'm gonna be instant. It's harder than, yeah. Okay, good man. No, I'm pumped for you to speak with your sellers and kind of figure that stuff out. And then it's not like I'm done managing, right? Like I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be at your side. So yeah. So like we're gonna be day-to-day training, just kind of learning and kind of going through the motions. So, cool man. Let me know. Let me get to your email certs and let me hopefully shed some good news to you and Charlie, and then we'll go from there. All right. Hey, what I want you to do is I want you to try to take a stab at creating your own cadence. So look at some of the team ones. See what you think is comfortable. I think most people say they like to call first because if they can get a quick yes or no, then it saves them the time of sending an email. That's the logic there. I'm in a tech space where I found most success through emails. I like emailing better. And I think it's more responsive for my industry, so I'll do an email first cadence, and then my second step is the call. So just figure out what cadence makes sense for you. I think SMB, you have a team one, but maybe create your own so that when you do connect with your seller and you do get your prospecting sheets, then you can already kind of just throw them into a pre-built cadence and get going. All right, so that could be your homework for today. Is just take a stab at creating a cadence, see how it goes, and then I can oversee it. I can look. You can share your screen. We can figure out. There are gonna be a couple boxes to check when you create a cadence. Cool. Yeah, it's basically if they respond, take them out of the cadence, so you're not calling them a day after they just responded. Yeah, and just give them a cold call, right? Yeah. You're not gonna have a goal for April. Your only goal for May, I think, will be like 7 points, but that's if we don't reduce it. So like if it's 7 or 8, I think it might be 8 actually, 8 or 10. I don't know if we increased it. It's. I don't think it's any greater than 10. It's no less than 7. 7 to 10 points, somewhere in that range. I can get that to you. But we're still unsure on how to handle May because we don't know if we're gonna stay redeployed, and if we do, then we're gonna have to probably cut your goal in half again. June will be another ramping stepping stone. July will be your first fully ramped month. So it's whatever 85 divided by 3 is. Because we're gold on a quarter, we're not gold on a month, but we have monthly check. Like we want you to hit a certain number in your month so that you're setting yourself up for. Yeah, exactly. So 28 being points. So it ramps up, right? So you go from like 8 points to 15 something points to 28 points, right? To a real life. And I think that's why the ramping goal went up, is because we need a better prep for that fully ramped target. But yeah, your quarterly fully ramped goal will kick into gear Q3. Will be your first fully ramped quarter. So you hit your goal Q3, you hit your goal Q4, 2 consecutive fully ramped quarters, and you qualified to be a senior analyst Q1 of 2021. Yeah, Jackson and Aileen. I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, she did. So that's why those are the 2 biggest quarters of a BDR's career, basically. Because once you get senior analyst, you get senior analyst, and then kind of the rest is just smooth sailing. So. All right, buddy. Slack me if you need anything, all right? See ya.
Just a yard on the first down carry, so it's 2nd and 9. Offensively with the lead, you want to run the ball, keep the clock going, but you also want to still kind of be in attack mode too, right? So how do you do that and not come back on your heels?
Yeah, think about all the practices we've watched where they have that tempo period to go over things just like this, where they describe the scenario, tell you what they're looking for, and make sure that they're still attacking, yet at the same time not going so fast as to leave too much time on the clock.
The Dolphins on 3rd down. Well, they've converted 7 times and could use another right now. This is 3rd and 8. Rosen will throw. And the throw there going to be incomplete. Critical play in this football game, because if they pick up the first there, that clock keeps rolling.
Has to be a little frustrating for them, because they know that if they pick up a first down there and continue to eat away at the clock, really increases their chances of closing this one out. Now they're likely to have to give the football up and sweat it out on the sideline.
51 yards on the punt there. And the Pats will be backed up deep to get the drive started as they take over 1st and 10. Out comes the New England offense to see what they can do this time. And with this deficit, you can't have too many more drives like the last drive where you had to punt it away.
You know what I would tell my offense right here? The punter doesn't exist, guys. He doesn't even exist. He's not a team anymore. I just cut him. All right? So you've got to go out and create some offense for us here and give us some points. No way does that guy get on the field on this drive.
Poor punter.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault. But hey, listen, there got to be casualties at times. We're trying to win a game.
So now 2nd and 10 after the incompletion on 1st down. Now this throw caught left side. And he works it across the 25 before being tackled. 14 yards is the pickup there, and a New England 1st down. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You're down 2 scores. I don't think you need to rush just yet, but you can't take your time either.
Yeah, even if you don't want to commit to full 2-minute offense, you have to up the tempo, up the urgency. Maybe you're starting to call 2 plays in a huddle each time you snap the ball. I call that play a success. A nice inside run sets up a very manageable 2nd down. A very solid gain on that play.
They stay on the ground. This time it's Michelle. It'll be a pickup of a couple, and it leaves them with a 3rd and 3. New England on 3rd down. They've hit on half of them, 5 for 10. Here it's 3rd and 3, and he's going to have the first down at about the 38. And they have the first down with that gain of 4 yards. The job 1 to pick up the first down is complete. That was a big 3rd down conversion, but they got to watch the clock. It's starting to become their enemy a bit here in a 2-score game.
Which means they have to pick up the pace, right? The tempo has to be up. And what they do is they tell the quarterback in his helmet, hey, listen, when we pick up the first down here, tell everyone we're going. We're moving now to 2-minute offensive phase, and everyone on the bench area, they're waving them along too. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
He's going to look deep for Watkins. And that's going to wind up incomplete. However, we do have a flag down. Let's check in with our referee. So he was past the line of scrimmage when he threw it.
And as they say, that's a no-no. Got to be able to understand where you are on the field and not cross the line before throwing the ball downfield.
So the illegal forward pass also costs him a down, and now it's 2nd and long.
Hey. Hey, Orbit. 52. 52. 40 got.
Operating from the gun, Stafford, and he will find his big tight end over the middle. And he's got another first down as he's brought down at the Dolphins' 36. Stafford now to throw. Nowhere to escape, and he goes down.
Okay, was it a breakdown in protection? Did the running back not pick him up? What does it really matter? Sometimes it's just a great play made by the defense. Big-time sack.
Protection certainly going to need to be a bit better here on 2nd and 16.
Stay 50, stay 50.
Throwing to Stafford. That's complete to his tight end, Mike Gesicki. And he's got another first down as he's brought down at the Dolphins' 18. 2 minutes left to play in this football game here on EA Sports. So the Patriots with a football as we get you reset. And let's see what they've come up with offensively after having time to talk it over.
Bravo. He can't hang. He's not getting
On 1st and 10, Stafford. And this is intercepted, and that should do it. Picked up by Xavier Howard. So now he's equaled his interception total from a week ago. Remember, Charles, he had 3 last week.
And you know, all week long he vowed to take that number down. Told the guys on the team, don't worry, things are going to pick up. I've got this. But he is in a major league rut right now. Let's see if his teammates can pick him up along the way.
You're right. He talked about being cool, calm, collective, rebounding. Not rebounding right here. They'll come up 2nd and 6 now from the 24. And again this time to the tailback. Now the Patriots will use the second of their timeouts as they'll talk it over here before what will be an important 3rd down. Now they'll run on the draw. And this one goes nowhere. Losing yardage back at the 22. That'll wind up going for a loss of 4. And that's going to bring up a 4th down. Here's Matt Hawk now. He's been terrific so far. It'll be a 51-yard punt that time. And possession will switch hands 1st and 10. So Matthew Stafford in the offense. Down by 11, a minute 36 to go. Their 5-game winning streak hanging in the balance here. Trying to shake off the interception from the last drive. He'll look to throw. And the pressure gets to him and brings him down. Stafford is sacked. Raekwon McMillan in there to drop him as that clock continues to run. A rough couple of weeks for the man under center. 5 sacks last week, 4 now this week. Do you try to design some quicker developing plays if you're an offensive coordinator?
I think you do that. I think you also change his launch point at times. In other words, move your pocket to the right, to the left. Roll him out, bootleg him. Do some different things so they can't just rely on the fact that he's going to take 3 to 5 steps back in the pocket and line up and throw the football.
Yeah, current formula is not working right now.
Zebra!
They'll fake it. Now Stafford. It's caught inside the 25. And they'll wind up getting this one all the way down inside the 20. It's a gain of 34. Back to throw. Stafford. And he's got it. And he's in. Touchdown, Patriots. Harris Campbell with touchdown number 7 on the year, as his guys are back within a single score. Coming from where they were, they knew this was going to be tough, but they got the touchdown. Now they need the miracle, the onside kick and a little extra.
Yeah, and you have to get the onside kick and not have the ball bounce around a lot and eat up time. You want to be able to grab it, possess it, and get your offense out there for what you just termed a miracle last chance.
So with 14 seconds on the clock, they've got to go with the onside kick. And the Dolphins are indeed going to get this, and that should all but do it. They had to go for it with no timeouts remaining, though now. This one's as good as over.
They gave it an effort. They tried their best, did everything they could to try and get the ball on the onside kick. You're exactly right. They had to try it. It was their only option. And now this game is done. Just take it, kneel, and call it a day.
So a victory here for the Miami Dolphins. And, of course, this win a big one. They can hang their hat on this victory on the road against the defending Super Bowl champs.
And you know how difficult it is for the team that wears the crown, because they're going to get everyone's best shot. So let's face it, they circled this game. We're going to go in there and take down the defending Super Bowl champs. This is our opportunity. They're not going to walk out of here with a trophy today, but they will walk out with respect around the league. And to them, that's vitally important.
So for the Dolphins, it's an important win in terms of staying in the postseason race as they move to 6-4. And they'll get another road test next week as they head to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Meanwhile, for the Patriots, they suffered just their second loss as they drop to 8-2 now on the year. And they'll have a quick turnaround as they're back in action Thursday at noon.